Is your brand overly complicated, confusing, or just plain chaotic? If so, a redesigned brand architecture might be in order. Hi there, my name is Doug. I'm with 23 Inc. and I've spent the last 15 years of my career helping clients build better brands. Today we're going to be talking about the varying strategies behind brand architecture. As usual, I'm going to have a lot of information on screen. Feel free to come back and use it as a resource. But for the video, we'll keep it short, we'll keep it fast-paced, we'll keep it high level. Hopefully, we'll keep it fun. Sound good to you? Let's jump in. All right, so brand architecture. Let's start at the top with a definition and we'll go from there. So brand architecture refers to the strategy behind the organization of a company's portfolio. Strategically structuring your brands, products, or services can help you keep different parts of a portfolio separate when needed, but also allow them to work together as a force multiplier in the marketplace. Brand architecture defines both the breadth and the depth of your brand and can be categorized by using one of four strategic models, from a branded house to endorsed brands, a hybrid model, or finally a house of brands. Let's quickly take a look at each of these to see how brand architecture works for the greater good of a company's portfolio. So first up, the branded house. In a true branded house, the parent brand, typically one with the name recognition or some sort of influence, completely runs the show. All brands in the portfolio under the parent are subordinate to the parent brand. One benefit here is that the portfolio is not only capitalizing on previously established customer loyalty, they're also seeing cost savings across marketing and branding efforts. So FedEx is a great example here. With their portfolio of brands all falling under the name of the parent brand, this strategy makes for a consistent experience. It minimizes customer confusion and it builds equity for the parent FedEx brand. From there, you can look at the house of brands, and it's basically the opposite of the branded house. There's a parent brand, but it's not reflected in the sibling brands in an obvious or blatant way. In fact, often the parent brand is in the background. It's overshadowed by one or more of its sibling brands. You'll see this brand architecture model more in situations where a holding company buys up of subsidiaries. To most consumers, the parent is irrelevant compared to the individual products that it distributes. We find this architecture applied with brands like Procter & Gamble. Its vast array of products across multiple industries makes it a great example for that. So each brand, including Procter & Gamble, is responsible for their own strategic positioning and their own brand equity. Next up, endorser brands, which sort of meets in the middle of the two we just looked at. This approach packages brands under a parent brand, and in theory, it adds credibility to the endorsed brand in the eyes of the consumer. Each brand extension has its own identity, but it's still associated with the parent brand. The parent brand equity can be used, or each brand extension can develop its own independent strategy. You'll notice here that Nestle, their name is included across Kit Kat, Coffee Mate, Toll House, and a ton of other products. But they've also incorporated their respective logo designs. So you see the name built into Kit Kat and Coffee Mates. Well, Purina, on the other hand, they've taken their unaltered logo and affixed it to their pet food sibling brands. It's also interesting to note that Purina is actually owned by Nestle. So here we see Purina with an endorser brand architecture and Nestle with what we call a hybrid model approach. And that's a great segue to talk about a hybrid brand architecture strategy, which comprises some combination of the last three architecture iterations we discussed. This model is often the result of acquisitions and mergers, as a company will either absorb the brand into the parent brand, retain some element of existing brand, but endorse it with the parent brand, or a third option, they can strategically leave the brand intact. Let's take a look at arguably the most easily recognizable hybrid model that's been out there, and that's the Coca-Cola company. As you can see, the parent brand, the Coca-Cola company, has amassed quite the portfolio. This is just a few examples of their family of brands. On the surface, you can see they've implemented a house of brands architecture strategy, as each of these sibling brands stands alone with no common link between them. But when you look deeper, you'll find several examples of a branded house architecture. Obviously Coca-Cola and its line of products, but also brands like Simply Beverages, from Simply Orange to Simply Almond, Simply Oat, or Simply Smoothie. A branded house architecture has most definitely been applied to this portion of their portfolio. But interestingly enough, the Coca-Cola company also owns a subsidiary named Glasso. So Glasso, in that portion of the portfolio, has implemented an endorser brand's architecture across their enhanced water lines. That's to better align with the Coca-Cola company's long-term strategy. This is most likely due to Coca-Cola's previous attempts at entering the water products segment in the UK with their Dasani brand. If you know anything about that, that was abysmal. That was a complete failure. But whatever the reason, the Glasso name endorses these products to level back to a higher strategy in this family of brands. And it's a really big family. The abundance of strategies is what makes this such a great example of a hybrid brand architecture. If it's a type of beverage, Coca-Cola wants a piece of that pie in their portfolio, from soft drinks to tea, water, milk, juices, energy drinks, sports drinks, you name the beverage type. And Coca-Cola not only plays in that space, they've strategically organized their portfolio to maximize brand recognition and to simplify their messaging for customer clarity. And that's what brand architecture can do for you and for your portfolio. It reshapes your portfolio to simplify your product offering and to clearly communicate both the benefits and the values that you offer both your customers and your employees. Because what many leaders don't realize is just how important of a role the right brand architecture plays in the successful implementation of their growth strategies. Brand architecture, if it's done correctly, will help you communicate your entire portfolio's offering both simply and effectively. Because without it, it leaves your customer confused about what you offer and your employees confused about what you stand for. To illustrate that point, here's a sketch of a confused and kind of creepy old man. I thought that was appropriate. Creepy old man aside, here's one last example from some recent work completed at 23 Inc. We were able to help our client take this convoluted portfolio of brands that they created and acquired over the last 40 years. And through a new brand architecture strategy and a few brand identity refreshes, we helped give their portfolio a clear purpose, audience segmentation, and improved market positioning. Now their family of brands works together to help lift the entire portfolio as one cohesive story. And that's what we love to do here at 23 Inc. Help our clients tell better stories with more effective brand strategies. We'd also love to talk with you to learn more about your current portfolio and how we can help implement a brand architecture that better aligns with your company's plans for growth. You can also see more tips just like this one over on our Inkblot marketing blog. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of time. If you have questions or maybe you just want to say hi, that's always nice. Click the link to connect or follow along with us on LinkedIn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.